Hello. In these guided writing lessons, I will talk you through how to write answers for the IELTS writing section. This is lesson number 3 for the academic IELTS section. And in this lesson, I will guide you through writing a process description. You will have a chance to practice after. Now, you can skip this slide if you remember what things are important to include. If not, then please carry on watching. Let's remind ourselves of what's really important to include in your process description in order to get a good score. In task achievement, first of all, as with the other tasks, you need to write at least 150 words. Don't forget you won't be penalised for writing less or more. For a good score in task achievement, you need to include here as well a clear overview of the main process stages. We'll cover this later on in this guided lesson. You need to choose some main features which include the data from the process to support them. You shouldn't include or write about all the features in detail, as that will lower your score. However, if there are only a few steps or stages, then you will need to include them all. When it comes to cohesion and coherence, it's important that your writing is logically structured. Again, that you have a clear progression so that the reader, the examiner, can follow what you're saying. You should use some linking words and cohesive devices. Now, let's have a look at lexical resource or vocabulary. You need to use some relevant vocabulary so you can lift vocabulary from the task, from the process description and use it. You can change the word format, but you should use the words from the process and you should make sure that your spelling is accurate. And lastly, the examiner is looking for a wide range of grammatical structures. They are looking for accuracy and a good control of punctuation. Let's remind ourselves of the stages on how best to write a process description. First of all, we need to look at the task itself very carefully. So read the question and including the process diagram itself. So have a look that you make sure you understand what it's about. Then decide what the overview is and what the main features are. Then you can take a minute to write a short introduction, write the overview in about 3 minutes. You can take up to 13 minutes to write the main body, write a short conclusion, and right at the end, take a minute to check your writing. Now, let's go through all those different stages. First of all, don't forget in the first bit, don't write much at this stage. You can circle and underline things and write some notes on the overview, but don't write too much. First of all, what's the process about? So I've underlined the main idea of the process, which is that it shows how glass bottles are recycled. Now we can have a look at what the overview could be. I've made some notes in green here. So I've talked about the start and the finish of the process, that it is 3 different stages, it's man-made, it's relatively simple and it's a linear process. And in blue I've highlighted the main features which I will include in the writing. Note here there's only 3 stages, so we will have to mention them all and probably all of the different steps in between, but in various degrees of information. Now you need to write a short introduction. You can simply paraphrase the task question, but don't forget to include the what, where and when if possible. So that here we have the description and here we have my introduction. Don't forget this is just one way to write it. Now you're going to take a few minutes to write the overview. So you need to ask yourself these questions. Is it man-made or natural? How many stages or steps are there? What is produced? Where does it start and where does it end? Is it cyclical or linear? Are any materials added? You can ask yourself these questions and then write an overview using those main ideas. This is my overview. Now you need to write the main body. You have to include the main features which you circled or chose in the planning stage. You need to support those with data and numbers from the chart. You also need to think about the structure of your writing, as it is important that it's well organised and progresses clearly in order to get a good score. It doesn't matter how you organise your writing, but it must be logical. Use appropriate vocabulary and a good range of grammatical structures. Here's my main body. I've started writing about mobile phones.